It's the Trinity MMO Show. He is risen. Welcome. It has been not very long, but it does feel like it's been a while. But welcome to the Trinity MMO Show. Thanks for joining us as for some good old MMO news each week on the Coffee and RPG Network. The Trinity in the name, of course, refers to three of us, even though there's only two today. There's three of us, okay, the Trinity Bros. We are all MMO players, but we understand the whole idea of tank, DPS, and heals. And of course, as being Christians, we definitely believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And by the way, those three listing right there, another Trinity, and there's threes all around. So there you go. All right, so Solomon, pray for Solomon. He has been going through, he has a job, but his job has been messing around with our schedule. So just pray for him to get that thing squared away. But in the meantime, we do have Sir Jaziel in the house. And you got me, Kenneth, and each week we try to bring you the top picks and opinions from the world of MMOs. And after all, we are fans and players, so they're, well, the same thing. Fans of, well, anyways, so as the days grow shorter and shorter, in-game time grows up as we level and level. That is one of the benefits of wintertime is people are out, can't be outside, so they're inside. A lot more folks are able to raid and play around. So there you go. That's our opening. It's time for some Quest! That is right. It is time for some Quest. Okay, we're going to start off first off with our daily quest. This is where all your quests begin. And who better to do that than from us, your Trinity Game Masters. So, start off with me and some small little bits and pieces. BioWare, which is not necessarily your actual MMO person, even though they do Star Wars: The Old Republic. They lost two of their particular high-level people. And they're saying that's not a big deal, okay? Hey, the ship is not burning, just passing next generation, and Anthem Reboot is still coming, okay? What's interesting is that next week is the Game Awards. Jeff Kiley and company are doing that, and they promised and teased us with some Dragon Age news. So, maybe Dragon Age 4 will be highlighted, and there'll be some talk about that because it's been, since 2014 since Dragon Age Inquisition came out. So there you go. WoW Shadowlands has been launched, and if you've been following any of us on whatever platform we're on, we've been playing it. I am not 60 yet. I'm at 58, but others are, family and friends who are at 60. And apparently, in that first day, after 3 hours, was the first, or world first, level 60. So that was just dungeoning in over and over again. Final Fantasy XIV does tease out that Beyond Shadowbringers is going to be announced, but not until next year. Okay, they're having their announcement showcase in February 5th, and that's where they're going to be talking about the actual whatever is going to happen next, because their latest patch basically was the end of Shadowbringers. So therefore, what's new, who knows? But hey, Square Enix has done a pretty good job, so no problem there. For those people who do or want to, ESO is having a free play event now through December 9th. So yeah, today's the 5th. So if you're watching us past the 9th, I'm sorry. You should have watched this live. Get all the news right here and now. Daybreak, which you may have known by the past news, used to be Sony Online. Sony Online Experience. SOE. Sony Online. Anyway, entertainment. Yeah, SOE had sold a bunch of stuff to Daybreak. Through the course of the last couple of years, there have been a lot of changes, like John Smedley has gone. There's been talk about being owned by the Russians, okay? But anyways, apparently they sold everything to EG7 Global. Now, I had not heard of this company, but apparently, if Solomon was here, he would know because they do Mech Warrior Online. $300 million. Seems like so cheap a property, but they got everything. EverQuest, PlanetSide, DC Universe Online, Lord of the Rings Online, D&D Online. So quite a slate of games and titles, IPs and all. And so maybe this EG7 Global will take this to the next level. And for those who follow me, and it's not quite an MMO thing, but it could be, PAX 2021 has been announced. People were questioning and wondering about PAX South because that's usually in January. There's been rumors about moving to February or beyond. But officially, PAX came out and said, "Look, guys, stop speculating it. We will let you know." And of course, all this stuff is caveated on the whole COVID pandemic. PAX East, usually in March, then moved to June. So if you are going to do a cross-country trip from Seattle to Boston, that's a better month to do it than March. After all, that's a bucket list of mine. So PAX East is in June. PAX West is still at Labor Day weekend. That's still the same thing. PAX Australia is kind of in flux. There's no dates given. And PAX Unplugged, which is your actual board game, no video game convention in Philadelphia, is in December. So that was interesting. They finally came out with all that information. People have been wondering it. People have been speculating it. One of the news sources I've been kind of following was like, hey, we talked to the San Antonio Convention Center, and PAX apparently has a spot booked in February. And it's funny, they would talk to ReadPop. ReadPop says talk to PAX. PAX would say, well, don't talk to us, talk to ReadPop. It was like, and then the convention center, and then people was like, well, the San Antonio Convention Center is wrong. I'm like, anyways, they finally announced it. So that's my daily quest. I hope I've given you the nuggets you needed for today. So, and now our daily quest with Sir Jaziel.
All right. So after that, there's a game out there, MMO called Gloria Victus, that has been flying under the radar for the last several years, and I have heard some good things for people that were in the alpha. To me, it unfortunately looks a lot like other games that are set in that medieval period. And I will admit, I kind of forgot about it with all the, interest in New World, which kind of loosely looks the same. But anyway, it's now officially entering early access beta for those people who have invested into it and whatnot, and beta coming for the rest of us to try out hopefully next year. But as we said, with the pandemic stuff and people being shut in home again, especially here in California where I am at, we're being told stay inside your houses again. That's probably going to slow things down. But I just wanted to mention it because it does look promising for a medieval era stylized game. The graphics look pretty wonderful, and the gameplay looks pretty great. And I will admit, I've always, since I was a little kid, like most little boys and that grow up to be men, that still love King Arthur and knights in shining armor and damsels in distress. Those kind of things. Even if there's a bazillion of them out there in the galaxy, I still will pick up the book. I'll still pick up the game, all that stuff, because I'm just a sucker for that era. So the second one is Ashes of Creation has added a new island. Now, all that I got to see, I hear there's a video out there. I couldn't find it. But what I found was a couple of pictures of it, and it looks pretty cool. They've added a new island that boasts that it's 10 square kilometers and will take roughly 30 minutes on a mount to go from side to side. Now that reminds me of a little game that you all might have heard me talk about before. EverQuest was like that. It was huge. And this is sound like it again. Now, something I didn't put in my notes there is there are a lot of people that are slowly dropping off in the interests of Ashes of Creation. It's going the opposite direction that New World went this year. Instead of going the route of, hey, let's make this more accessible for PvE and PvP people, they are going hardcore on the PvP aspect, which, in my opinion, that's probably good in the long run, because
Ashes of Creation.
Yes, this is Ashes of Creation.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is there are so many games that do that. They start out as, again, we've got a whole lot. There's a huge list. If you guys go, I know that most of MMO sites have it, but Massively Overpowered has a long list of MMOs that are in alpha right now and beta, and it is just a crazy long list, guys. Crazy long. So there's a lot of those that have started out as PvP centered, and then because of other people going, well, that's great, but what else is there to do? Like, are there quests? Is there a story involved? And that has made them want to do that and go more in the route of, I can opt in to PvP or I can opt out of it. And they have not. Ashes of Creation, they force your hand. You are going to PvP if you're going to play that game. So there have been people that have been crying about it online. I know the Reddit threads that I've been reading the past week have been really negative about it. But I think it's a good thing. We need to have something for everybody. It'd be nice if we could have one game that everybody could come to, but that's just not going to happen. So anyway, I'm really interested in it. I said, the pictures that I saw look really cool and interesting, and the fact that there's that much land, holy cow, man, that's pretty impressive. So I don't know. Again, as you guys and gals know, I'm not much of a PvPer. I dabble in it once in a while when I feel the urge, when I get that itch. But I don't know. We'll see. When it comes out, I may try it. But moving on, Ship of Heroes that I know Kenneth and I are both looking forward to, being City of Heroes and City of Villains fans, players of the past. They're working towards a 2021 release, admitting that there's still a whole lot of work to do. Now, when they started getting into the nuts and bolts of it, it didn't sound like that's realistic to me. I think the numbers were that they've got 30 quests right now in the game. And that's just not going to be enough. We could probably do that in a couple of days. So there is a whole lot of work to be done. Now, does what they have done look pretty awesome? I think so. And I love superhero stuff. I'm a huge Marvel and DC fan, as well as some indie publishers, especially during the 80s, 90s era. Old guy here. Older guy next to me, though. So I'm looking forward to it. The character creation on that game looks amazing, which is a big deal. And yeah, they do have a YouTube video. It's only 4.5 minutes long, so I encourage you all to go look at it if you're even slightly interested. It's called Creating Mission Maps in Ship of Heroes. I would encourage you to go check that out and see how they put the missions together and whatnot. And just kind of put it on your radar if you're at all into the superhero thing and you kind of maybe think that it's time to make a change and not be in that King Arthur, Knights in Shining Armor, and dragons and Merlins and you know all that kind of stuff, and you'd like to go into a different era, a different theme for your MMO, I encourage you to go check that out. But that's the big news for this week.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, the first one, Gloria Victus. It was. I think I've seen it come up and down. I was not part of any campaign to put money into them, but I saw that notice like, okay, they're in beta now. So I mean, a lot of games that I'm thinking I want to play at some point. You know, Camelot Unchained, Crowfall, Ashes of Creation, maybe one day. You know, Ships of Heroes is up against City of Titans as well as Valorant. Yeah, not Valorant, but Valorant, I think it is, okay? Or Valorant, I forget.
Can't remember now either.
There's 3 trying to vie for the City of Heroes thing. But then, yeah, Ashes of Creation still is on my radar as being one of the top ones I want to play. I'll jump into it, even if it's PvP. But there we go. All right. Time now for the main story quest, where the Trinity Bros give you their MMO opinions. Game development from home. There was a story. Okay, that's why this is called the Trinity story quest. This is the main story quest. MSQ, main story quest. I thought I changed my notes to say that. Main story quest. There we go. Right. Start over again. All right. Our main story quest. Game development from home. Square Enix made a posting recently that they're kind of making working from home a permanent feature. It's not universal. It's not absolute. We also know that people need to be working together at times in the office or collaboration. They're not saying no. They're not saying you have to be back in the office. So they're trying to make it more of a permanent feature. So I thought, I've been working from home since March. And I don't work in the game industry, but I do work with people, and collaboration is very important. Kind of do that when you're IMing someone. You might get into a voice chat with somebody. We don't do a lot of camera stuff. It feels weird. You lose the connection. And for me, I'm like, I think it's okay for a company to go and say, we have in our pocket the idea is that you can work from home, or at least work from away, like say, with the way it works for your family, with kids, especially with those with kids, or taking care of people, that you can flex your time. You can be in the office and be 2 out of 5 days, let's say, or 3 out of 5 days. To me, I think making it more permanent, whereas absolutely we're not doing this. Everything's collaborative. That could be a hurting problem. Now, if you can find a way around it, you can find a way around a collaboration where you actually can do the collaboration, then great. A friend of mine, he basically turned his office into his office space, and he had cameras and he had monitors up. And so while rest of his colleagues, were out somewhere else, okay, they were actually still in the office. In other words, the camera, the microphone, the speakers, the everything was on. And so while you don't necessarily weren't in the same room with somebody, you could see them. So you can easily go say, hey, Mike, and the Mike would say, hey, yeah, what's up, and ask the question right away. So that might be a way of doing it, but that costs a little more time and money. And I know broadband is going to be the biggest issue, how much your speed's up and down. I'm sure the companies won't mind that, to pay more. I know that my company isn't right now funding any money toward people having their own broadband. So that's going to be an issue down the road. But anyways, I just wanted to, for me, thought it was not a great idea. I think that you need to have collaboration in the office. I don't mind making it a part of the feature of people saying, yes, you can have work from home as part of your feature, but to make it more permanent. So that's my thought. So I wanted to get your take, so Jazio. What do you thought about this?
Well, my mind instantly goes to the psychological aspect of it, the social as well. That man, I know that most of us, my dog might start barking in a little bit. I know that most of us that have either done work or are working in that industry tend to be homebodies, and we tend to be introverts. Not always, but that tends to be the case. And going to a physical location and working with your coworkers, it's just kind of a way to get out of that space, to get out of our own head, and to be able to connect with other people, have those water cooler moments. Those of you who've ever worked in an office will understand that saying. That to talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian or whatever. And, it gives us homebodies and us introverts kind of a forced situation where we are put in a group of people where we can communicate and understand that we are not all that's in the universe. There are other people, and so in that way, it's a it's a benefit psychologically and socially for us to gather together. Again, and also bringing in our faith, and that we weren't meant to be alone. That's the whole reason that God created Eve and why he wanted Adam and Eve to create others. I won't go on to a whole spiel. I'm not going to preach at all of you, but we were created to have that need to be together and to gather together. So I think in those aspects, it is better for us to be together. And boy, howdy, this year with all these lockdowns and the pandemic and all this stuff going on globally has really shown that there's a lot of people that are suffering psychologically because of not being able to go into work. Now, as far as the work goes, the productivity, I think it can be done. It is being done. However, I don't believe it's as efficient as it is when you're there. You just kind of mentioned something that happens a lot in those offices that is kind of tricky to navigate when you're doing it online. Those instances where your supervisor or other coworkers who you're working with for level design, for character design, for missions or quests or what have you, or even building a zone, like we were just talking about in Ashes, Ashes of Creation. Sorry, I went back to Gloria and Victus for a little bit. Those moments where they're getting up to get another cup of coffee or get some water or just get up and stretch their legs, and they walk by your booth and they look down and go, "Oh, that's really neat what you're doing there. Do you think what about doing this?" And just being able to, as iron sharpens iron, again, not to preach at all of you, another biblical thing.
It's not biblical. I mean, it's biblical, but it's not just really referring to Christian. It's like you said, engineers sharpen engineers by looking over someone's shoulder.
I always do my best work when I share it with other people before it's released. I always just cherish those moments where there's a coworker walking by and saying, "Hey, have you thought about changing this color, or have you thought about adding this in there?" And you go, "No, I didn't, but that's really cool." And then you go in and you end up working together. And I think it's possible to do those, like you were saying, Kenneth, and that, you could put cameras up where your other coworkers could look through, or you could do share your screen with them and things like that. But you're not going to have those sporadic kind of moments that you would in the natural environment where people are just getting up and, like I said, going to get a cup of coffee or whatever and walking by and going, "Hey, that looks cool, but what about this?" Or,
right.
And vice versa, them coming over to yours. I think they can do it, and there are companies that are doing it. We're big New World fans. Looking forward to Amazon Game Studios putting that out for us sometime in the next 10 years. But they're doing that for the most part, and they're being successful at it. There's lots of companies. Shadowlands was pretty much put together like that for the most part, and it's been really fun so far. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I don't believe, it's my opinion. It's my opinion that it's just not as efficient.
Yeah.
And I would cherish the ability to have a job where I could work from home, especially as a disabled guy and a guy that doesn't live, especially if I was working for one of those big companies. I don't really want to move into the city in Los Angeles or wherever, because for one, it's way too expensive. So I would cherish that opportunity to be able to work from home, but I would have to admit, I would rather be with people to be able to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I think for all of this, I look into different headlines, right? They use the word permanently, okay? to allow to work from home permanently. And
Right.
yet, when you read it, you read articles, right? And this is back into what I was saying. It's not talking about, 80%, one article said 80%. Yes, you allow for more flexibility. Yeah, you allow for bringing in more talent and different variety of talent because now you're not restricted to being like, well, you have to live in Japan, okay? Because, Square Enix is based in Japan or wherever they're doing the work from. You can work from anywhere in the world. So you're flexible in that regard. You don't have to come here, okay? You can stay where you're at and still be employed by us, which has always been a way for freelancing anyway. So it's not like that's new. And again, most companies I think are realizing, especially when it comes to COVID, because they have been working from home, unless you're doing manufacturing where you actually got to be in the plant, you can do the work at home, but you lose, like you said, you lose that iron sharpens iron. You're seeing it. I'm seeing it in my company at times, right? It's the fact that you're missing being able to have the older engineer teach the young engineer by literally. I always tell the story when I was young engineer. I had this older guy sit next to me, looked at my drawing, of my part. He goes, "Oh, it was like a piece of beep." I'm like. And I was like really hurt,
Right.
And my lead came by and said, "I will show you. We'll work on this, okay?" And so what I realized, found out was that while my part would because I did the free body diagram structurally would work, it didn't look like it could work, and it didn't understand the manufacturing processes. I didn't understand. I didn't know about machining. I didn't know about forging it. I was a brand new guy, okay? So having that collaboration, having that person looking over my shoulder and helping me out with that was all the better. I'm working with young engineers who are pretty good independently, but they need to have someone looking over their shoulder. And it's like, how do you do that, if you're not in the office? So, and yeah, I don't think that we should be restricted back to the way it used to be where you had to be in the office 5 days a week. I think you need to allow flexibility. So that means that if you're going to do it, you got to find a way to say 3 of the 5 days out of a week have to be the days you'll be all in the office. And if you ever want to have physical in the office meetings, you have to have it on those days. The other 2 days can be flexible. Now, I understand that there might be some people who might take Friday as being that day off or that flexible day, but take Monday. So that will be an issue too. But yeah, I think that you're right. And humans need to have the contact, need to have the social interaction, and you learn so much from it. Doesn't mean it has to be all the time. And that's what I think key point. That's why I didn't like about the articles, because they talked about being more like core agency. This is permanent or permanent from home. No, okay. Maybe there's some more referring to that they're talking about this being a new policy of theirs to be more a permanent policy. A temporary COVID policy is more of a permanent policy.
All right.
All right. That was our main story quest. Now we will jump into our escort quest.
Walk with us as we escort you to safety, experience, and the adventure of a lifetime.
All right, we're escorting you so poorly today, or I am from my side of things, okay? But hey, Cyan, how's it going? All right, so when you listen to different podcasts, especially when you listen to the Massively OP podcast with Justin and Bree, you get ideas, okay? And a lot of it has to do with their Q&A questions they get from their audience. And I forget what the actual question was about, but I wrote this down as being, noob zones. Those brand new starter zones. We know that in World of Warcraft, Shadowlands, they revamped them. Revamped all their starting zones to make them a little more tutorial, teaching the mechanics of the game. For those who have played Champions Online, not the greatest of superhero games, but literally the first 6 levels, you're in a tutorial. You can jump out, but it's hard to get out of that tutorial, but you're in a tutorial. And so I thought, why not, noob zones? Like them, hate them, need them, remove them? Jaziel's been doing this a lot longer than I have, so I thought I would ask him, what do you think? Like them, hate them, need them, remove them, or something else?
I love them. However, I think the games that allow veteran players who have a max level character or a character that is past some kind of threshold should have the ability to be able to skip them if they so choose. I really love what what World of Warcraft has done with introducing Exile's Reach, and I've seen it work wonders for people who have never played the game before and were able to go in there and have a very, I'm going to use this word again because it fits, a very efficient way of learning all the basics that you need to know before you run out there into the game world. Because let's face it, some of these MMOs, man, that you just get tossed at level 1 from the get-go into the world, and there's just all these things to do, and you're like, what am I supposed to do first? Where do I go? You're like, how do I even get started here? And you end up having to go to YouTube or other websites to get information on what to do in the game. I think that's awful. You should never have to window out, alt tab out, or window key out, however you do it, of the game to figure out what to do in the game. Now,
Right.
there are times when you're going to run into a quest or a rare mob or some kind of mechanic in the game that you're having difficulty with, and those moments, okay, that's cool. But when you first get into a game, there really does need to be some kind of tutorial process that shows you, at how you move, how you attack, and how you use all those different mechanics, and just gives you a feel for the game. And I would like to see it more often in other MMOs. Because there's been a few MMOs that I've tinkered around with that, man, I think even Elder Scrolls Online, to be honest with you, when I first started playing it especially, I was so lost. I had no clue what to do, and I was picking all these quests up. You'd pick up a quest, and it would send you way over into another direction. And then while you were going that way, you would run into these other quests, and you'd pick them up, and then pretty soon you've got this full quest log, and you're like,
Yep.
what am I supposed to do? And then your bags are getting full of this stuff, and you don't know, am I supposed to keep this stuff? Is it good for anything? It was just really complicated. And like I was saying, World of Warcraft was kind of the same thing, especially there at the very beginning, pre-Cataclysm era. Although for me, it seemed easier, but that's just not. I know that's not the case for all of you out there. Some of you had a completely opposite experience, especially if it was your first MMO. So I love it. They'd been doing it for a while. Since Burning Crusade had starting areas as well, really, because they had the Blood Elves had their little land there and their little islands that they were. It kind of led you through. Not really on rails. You could still run around and get lost, but it was pretty good. And the Draenei had their little area as well. And so from then on, they had done it. But I think Exile's Reach just blows all of them away, really. As far as for players who have never played an MMO before, it's just perfect. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, what's funny is that they revamped it, and I'm like, okay, so I really didn't have a problem with the opening areas of WoW. But then again, I played WoW from the beginning. I also played Dr. Camelot. I guess I didn't have any problem with any game that had a not quite noob area. Basically, you knew they were leading you in a direction. Every quest was kind of point you somewhere. But what I do like about what WoW did was it didn't just talk about how to do WASD keys, or here's how you do your talents, or here's that way. They literally ran you through a dungeon too. And so They actually showed you how to do, looking for a raid or looking for a dungeon. And the biggest point, like you said, I think you need to have a way for experienced players to opt out. Whenever you play Champions Online, you create a new character, you always go run through that stupid stutter thing again, okay? Every single time. And you're like, I just want to get out of it, okay? And you can get out of it, but then you're still kind of wonked out because you're not quite where you need to be, because it's not really doesn't want you to be where you want it to be. So I think that having a new area is good. I think if as long as it has a way for older players to opt out, because it's going to be terrible if you got to go through it every single time. And what WoW did was, like WoW did was, they just literally, it's not, I'm tired of going to a game and it says, all right, use the WASD keys. I'm like, whatever, okay.
Right.
I guess if I was a new gamer, totally, I suppose I get that, right? But it's almost like you should have like a noob, a starting area that allows you to be noob, semi-experienced, experienced. And so you can run it the way you want to. But again, I like the way WoW does the dungeon too. And that was the biggest thing. I think showing you how to get into a dungeon, showing you how to do looking for group, showing you the tools of the game that are what everyone takes for granted these days is a good thing. So noob areas, good, yes. I think they're needed, yes. Should we remove them? No. Just give the option for experienced players to opt out.
Yes, please.
What do you all think? What do you all think in chat there? What are your thoughts about noob areas? Good, bad? Yeah. Let us know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comment section. Love to hear from you. Love to hear from you all. Okay. So that is us escorting you. Hopefully, we escorted you to good experience. Cyan says, I agree. Okay. So I hope that we have led you to safety, got you some experience, and given you an adventure of a lifetime. All right, so we have a little shorter show today. Not going to be as full, but we have. Sabato says I've actually quit some MMOs because their pre-noob area hand-holding took too long. Sadly, I can't remember what games were they. Yeah, I agree, Sabato.
Yeah, that's what we're saying about that. You should have the option to opt out of it. And
Absolutely.
not just from the get-go. Like you can, we'll just put World of Warcraft out there. That's the big game right now anyway. At the very beginning when you make your first character, now if it's your very first character, you have to go through it basically. But that's okay because you're going to be a new character and you're going to want to know that information. And I honestly wasn't paying attention to how long it took, but it seemed like it was only, what was it, like 30 minutes, Ken? That it takes to run through that?
10 maybe levels.
Yeah, maybe like 30 minutes. And when you make a new character after that, you're able to, it gives you a selection. Do you want to start in that area again, or do you want to start where that character, where that specific race would be starting naturally outside of that? And you can do that. And you also can go into Exile's Reach and you can get out of it in the middle of it. Because I did that with a character where I was just like, you know what? I don't feel like playing this again because, mind you, everybody, I made 12 Horde characters and 12 Alliance characters, one of each class. And I wanted to get all the transmog from Exile's Reach and the pre-patch stuff. So I was working my tail off getting the transmog stuff, which I did get, by the way. So I have played, I also have, there's been a few games that, and Kenneth just said it, there, with his Champions game, that they force you to do those quests. And man, it can be grueling. Like some of the games are really awful. I honestly, I don't remember Champions Online's intro very much. Maybe I need to reinstall it and play it again I'm waiting for Ship of Heroes, everybody. That's what the honest truth is. But Yeah, I get that. I don't know that it would turn me off of the game necessarily because I tend to play one character anyway. I have a lot of
Right.
alts, but
So Wildhead says Exile's Reach should take about an hour.
oh,
Might have
does
been faster for us.
hmm,
And Survival says, yeah, but yeah, for some people it's good, agreed. I've seen some non-gamers try MMOs. It's interesting to watch them, to say the least. You think in your head like, oh no, this is not going to work. So some guidance for them is great for sure. Yes, agreed there. So yeah,
yeah, not watching a non MMOer play an MMO is very entertaining.
yeah. That's the thing about being. So I don't want to. I mean, being an MMO player for so long, take it for granted, and you want to make sure you don't, because you want to be able to help out those new folks. That's why I think WoW did a good job with the Exiles Reach with a brand new opening. It's hand holding without hand holding. It showed you all the different aspects of it. So it's maybe something to look forward to. Other games, decent, not perfect. You know, I said Champions Online, I don't like. Just ugh.
Damn.
All right, we don't have any world events because we did a world event. We did our opening day Shadowlands thing. But hey, if you want to, we are playing WoW. Generally, in some, it's funny. I don't think we're playing at the same time. But once we get to a certain point of doing some dungeons and raids, we gotta get on a schedule to make sure we can connect together on these things. So join us there. We will have other things next year. We're not sure about the rest of the year directly. We're talking about taking a hiatus until January. We may come back, just me and Sir Jazio for the time being, and then when Solomon gets a little more stable in his schedule, he can join us back in, or we have some guests. Who knows? Okay, but anyways, join us for that. New Worlds next year. We're still planning on doing that. Not to mention which any other MMOs might be launching next year. We'll try to do those things. I don't know when like Blue Protocol is launching directly here, but we plan on doing that. I know that I think I mean it's not an MMO, but didn't Cyberpunk 2077 come out? I'm not sure, but I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is not an MMO, but it's definitely open world. A lot of fun playing it. So yeah, join us for that. Keep watching. We actually did finally. I signed up for an actual Trinity MMO show Gmail. So we'll start getting that, and maybe get a Twitter going on that, and we'll have some things happening there. We'll see. So we're trying to get a little more professional. You know, go along with the coffee and RPGs. I wonder if he has a Gmail for that. Anyways, all right. So it's been a short time. Okay, our quests are done. Dungeons are looted, and we distributed all the goods, and crafting days are complete. Now it's time to go AFK. So Solomon, he's not here. So Jazil, where can we find you?
Right now, a lot of you probably noticed I've been staying off of social media, Twitter and Facebook and all that. Just there, I've had my bucket full of it. I just I can't take anymore. So if you want to get a hold of me, World of Warcraft or the Blizzard launcher, you can communicate through the BattleNet launcher with me or in Discord. I also have not yet returned to live streaming. I'm trying to work that out and figure out how I'm going to resolve that situation that we've got here right now. A certain somebody took over my streaming room, and I don't really want to stream from bed. I'm doing it right now, but I don't really want to do that full time. And the kitchen table, we tried that last week, and after an hour and a half, my back was just knotted up in softball size knots, 3 of them.
Right.
And yeah, so that's not doable. So I'm going to figure something out. I haven't quit. I do want to keep live streaming, but I've got to figure out where in this place that I can do that from. And then I am still working on the music, by the way. But it's been kind of slow because I've been in different moods. For those of you who are creative, like, you know, when your mood shifts, that what you're working on gets put on the back burner and you end up doing something new because you just don't feel into whatever, you're just not feeling it. And you go on to something else. And right now I'm kind of working on more of an industrial, almost metalish kind of EP, I guess. There's about 5 songs that I'm working on right now that are trying to make sound good in the line of like Circle of Dust or Cell Dweller, that kind of stuff. So be looking forward to that. But like I said, if you want to get a hold of me, Serge Aziel, just go to Discord is probably the easiest and best place to get a hold of me right now. It may be another month or two before I get back onto social media online, guys.
Well, I know that God Fuzz, his big issue obviously was the chair. And once he was able to get a better chair, that changed to how he streams. It makes sitting in a dining room chair is not the way to do it. I mean, I've been fortunate where I've had a game chair for a while. Even before that, I had just a regular office chair, so that makes a big difference. That's why working from home, it's been not a big deal. I just, same chair. So I already had the ergo chair, might say, for work. I know some people in my office were like, hey, I had ergo chairs at work. What can I do about it at home? And the company's like, well, talk to us. There might be special cases. Otherwise, you can't take them out of the office. We're allowed to take some of our computing equipment out of the office, but not chairs. But mainly they're concerned about people hurting themselves getting the chairs out of the office. They weren't concerned necessarily about them being stolen, so because they had the name attached to a chair.
That poses another question. If they do sustain an injury while working from home, how does that work?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know, because you gotta. I mean, ultimately, is it coming from work? Because I don't think so.
Right.
It's like, good point. All right, you can find me here on Canathan or Canathan Live on Twitter. I'm also part of the Got More Activated, so you can find me in Discord there. And I'm also on TikTok. I had to do this today. I saw this article where this guy was lamenting that his mom was doing some cleaning, and she threw away a lot of his game stuff, systems and cartridges and whatever. Okay, $500,000 worth, because he figures out how much he had over the course of years. He was storing at his mom's place, because like my kids do. Like, well, we don't have a place yet to live, so can we just store it there? Yeah, fine, right? He threw it out, including comic books, and I'm like, what the? I had to post a TikTok saying, "What parent?" I called it hashtag not a gamer parent. And I'm like, oh my word, it doesn't really matter.
Ouch.
It doesn't matter whether it's cartridges to a game or it's books or whatever, right? I mean, you think a parent would at least ask the kids, guys, I'm cleaning out. Do you want this stuff?
Right.
If you don't, then so be it. Just to dump it, I'm not sure. I know my stepdad always lamenting that at one point his mom gave away, I think he knew about it, but gave away some of his original, because he was born in 44, sorry, but 45. And so original Spider-Mans. So he lamented, boy, sure like to have had those still today, but oh well, that's the way it works sometimes. So
yeah.
All right, that's it for tonight. We'll be back next week for another Trinity MMO show. Thank you for being here. God bless you guys for being around and taking care of us. I hope we took care of you. So thank you very much. God bless you and good night. Check out the further adventures of Kennethan by liking and subscribing and watching me live on twitch.tv/Kennethan.